Students should know they can face consequences if they're caught.
For those who are caught drinking underage, a citation can cost up to $100, and you could also lose your license.
And again, we remind you that we're examining sources and solutions to stop underage drinking tonight during Underage Under the Influence, a KELO News special report. We ask teens where they get their alcohol, why they do it, and what it'll take to get teens to stop drinking. To hear their candid answers, join us tonight at 7 right here on KELO TV.
Someone beat the 1 in 146 million odds and won last night's $117 million Powerball jackpot with these 6 numbers. We will hear from the people in Pierre where the ticket was sold in a moment, but first, let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Jay Trobeck to get your KELO Live Doppler forecast.
Imagined exactly the right look in your head. And now save 50% during National Kerosene Month at Carpet One. This is the very best time to buy the very best carpet made. Kerosene. Solids, patterns, deep pile, and textured, including our selection of Stainmaster carpets featuring Tactest nylon fiber. Race right down to Carpet One today and save. Kerosene. Make a statement your own.
Chevy offers more models with flexible fuel engines that run on gasoline or E85, an ethanol gasoline blend. Choose from 6 Chevy models with standard or available engines which can run on 85% ethanol, a renewable fuel made from corn. Qualified lessees get a low-mileage lease on an 06 Impala 1LT for around $219 a month. Residency restrictions apply. Call for details. Chevy, America's #1 brand, America's #1 value. Visit us online at selectheartlandchevy.com today.
In today's ET Birthdays, which country star lent his voice to the animated series King of the Hill? That's George Strait, who today turns 54. It is a Dr. Phil primetime special.
1 in 3 women will become the victim of domestic violence.
On Escaping Danger tomorrow on CBS, Dr. Phil tries to help this desperate woman escape her abusive husband.
He's attacking you with a razor. He's beat your head against the dashboard.
I feel like it's my fault somehow.
This was not your fault.
She has also been forced to live in the basement for 9 years. Dr. Phil tells her how to leave, but will it work?
He finds out she has contacted the Dr. Phil show, and he calls up here wanting to square off with me, and I said, let's just get that done.
Wow, looks intense. Now, where in the world will Mary Hart be tomorrow? Let's find out.
Mark, today Carlton Pier, tomorrow a yacht. Oh yes, if you're going to travel the Côte d'Azur, there's really only one way to do it in style, aboard a luxury yacht. So I'm going to be sailing the seas in the south of France, and I do have news about Beyonce and Dreamgirls. So don't miss a boat, a beat, tomorrow.
Now that you're here, I want to share something that's never been done. You're all in my circle.
Say what now?
Altel customers can now call any number on any network for free. So we can all be friends.
That's really not what we do.
It is now.
Introducing My Circle from Altel Wireless. You choose the people you call for free. Any number, any network.
That's nice, isn't it?
Alrighty. You passed.
Yeah, he's thinking Arby's.
Seriously?
And the new roast beef gyro for only $2.99. Seasoned roast beef and a warm pita with delicious gyro sauce for just $2.99. And try our one-of-a-kind Jamocha shake. So amazing it'll have you saying, I'm thinking Arby's.
Comfort King makes mattresses that are guaranteed comfortable for life. That's right. When you buy a Comfort King, you not only get more mattress for less, you also get their lifetime comfort guarantee. 1 year, 5 years, even 10 years. It doesn't matter. If you want a different feel, they'll adjust your mattress as long as you own it, guaranteed. Comfort King, located next to the Royal Fort, just south of the Empire Mall, Sioux Falls.
A mountain lion caught lurking in a Rapid City neighborhood at 10.
day, 3 American teenagers die from drinking and driving, making underage consumption the biggest drug problem in this country.
If you want to start affecting people, you have to go right to the source.
Tonight, that's who you'll meet. Students will tell you how easy it is to find alcohol.
It's pretty much just a phone call away.
They'll explain why they drink it.
A lot of teenagers think it's fun to black out. Like, you black out, you don't remember your whole night, and you're like, oh, I don't even remember what I did last night. Oh.
But you'll also meet people who will never forget what underage drinking can do, like the mother whose 2 sons are paying very different prices for drinking and driving.
It was a mistake, you know, it wasn't intentional, and it's something that we're going to have to live with for the rest of our lives.
Finally, you'll learn about the lives that have been lost and hear from a woman who says even her grief isn't enough to get young people to stop.
I thought my message was the fix, you know. I thought that lives would be changed. Only a few have been changed.
Tonight, we hope to change the way KELO thinks about being underage and under the influence.
Good evening and welcome to our hour-long primetime special, Underage, Under the Influence. Over the next 60 minutes, we're going to hear from teenagers, and parents, and counselors about the impact of underage drinking. But no one sees the devastating effects of underage drinking more often than law enforcement. Recently, I rode along with the South Dakota Highway Patrol to get a feel for what they see and deal with almost every weekend.
It's 10:50 on a Friday night, and it's all quiet in Sergeant Brandon Marino's squad car. But Marino suspects it won't be that way for very long.
This time of year it kind of spikes. You know, there's proms, there are graduation events, there are, you know, the weather's warming up, the kids are out having keg parties and gathering out in the rural areas where they can gather outdoors, where they're a little less likely to be detected, I think.
10:55, only 5 minutes into our ride-along, we get a call about 3 teens who might be drinking. But this one isn't in the country. It's right in Sioux Falls. Marino wants to check it out.
I just thought it might be something underage related because of the length of the call that he's been there.
11 o'clock. We arrive on the scene to find a trooper talking with a 19-year-old and 2 15-year-old girls. He determined one of the 15-year-olds wasn't drinking. He lets her go. But the other 15-year-old and the 19-year-old are in big trouble.
So the 19-year-old purchased it.
Okay, and he admitted that, huh?
Yep.
The trooper finds a bottle of Southern Comfort and Aftershock inside the 19-year-old's pickup.
Do you have any inkling that they might be drinking just because? Not until I brought the driver back into my vehicle. At that point, I could smell the odor of an alcoholic beverage.
Which seems odd if you read the bumper sticker on the 19-year-old's pickup. Protect our children, drive carefully. But the trooper knows this call could have been much worse. For these patrolmen, there's nothing more difficult than telling a parent their son or daughter was killed in an alcohol-related accident.
It's a very stressful situation. And when you see that pain and anguish on their face when you tell them, and the disbelief and the shock that sets in, and it's a horrible, horrible thing to have to do.
Fortunately, they didn't have to make that notification tonight.
We've had quite a bit of problems with underage juveniles drinking, so it's good to get them off the road before they do cause an accident and hurt themselves.
The 19 and 15-year-old were both cited for underage drinking. Unfortunately, as we've seen in the past few weeks, not all nights end this way. Sadly, authorities can't catch up to the underage drinkers until it's too late.
17-year-old Kayla Gaff was killed earlier this month when she was in a car with a friend who had been drinking. Lab reports show 18-year-old Ryan Flatten's blood alcohol level was .083 when he lost control of his Jeep on a gravel road and it rolled into a ditch near Coleman. Gaff's mother wants other parents to learn from her pain.
Always know where your kids are. Communicate. And don't let them, make them think about what they're doing. I really don't want this to happen again next weekend.
The driver, Flatten, and another passenger were also thrown from the vehicle, but will be okay. Flatten is facing charges.
Alcoholism can attack anyone at any age. You may be shocked to learn that counselors here at Keystone see it hit as young as 9. While alcohol will cut the lives of some short, others make an attempt to turn it around. We have the story of one such turnaround attempt.
I was 13 and I started hanging out with my cousin, and she was around the age of 16, so I got involved in the older group and watched what they did, and I thought in order to fit in, that's what I needed to do.
Jennifer drank for the first time when she was 13 at her boyfriend's 16th birthday party.
His parents were out, and we said we were going to go to a movie, and ended up not going, obviously, and had a little get-together at his house, and had started drinking, and just went on from there.
What was your first drink of?
Sky Blue vodka.
From there, Jennifer started drinking more frequently and bringing more of her 8th grade friends to the parties.
Then I got used to thinking, oh, drinking isn't that bad. You know, it didn't bother me the first time, and I didn't get too sick, and I didn't get in any trouble, so I kept testing the waters and wanting to do it again, and as I got more comfortable drinking, I just kept on doing it.
As the drinking increased, it no longer mattered what the drink was, as long as it was alcohol.
And anything I could get my hands on, I guess, whatever was at the party. I guess because I wasn't old enough and I didn't know anybody old enough to buy alcohol, so if there was beer or any liquor, I just said, okay, make me a drink, let's go.
But Jennifer soon had her first run-in with the law. She was ticketed for underage consumption at a college fraternity party.
And that's when I realized that, you know, because I had to go through court and I had to go through going to jury duties and community service and a whole lot of other stuff and classes, and I just not worth it.
Jennifer quit drinking for a while, but it didn't take long before she was back partying and drinking again. When she started pushing the limit with her alcohol, she realized it was time to get help. That's when she put the bottle down.
I can go out to movies and have fun without drinking or doing drugs, and I can hang out with friends without drinking or doing drugs. I've found a lot of fun in doing stuff without being intoxicated or high or whatever. I've got a lot more out of life than drinking.
Now 17 and sober, Jennifer says what she doesn't remember about being drunk is the most frightening.
It really scares me now because we've talked about having like blackouts and stuff, and I've had a few, and it just really, I've started to really think about what, I mean, blackout, you don't know what's happened to you, so I really start to think about that, and it really does scare me.
And while looking back is a scary reminder of her past, Jennifer is now looking forward to her future.
I really want to go to college, and I knew with the way I wasn't going to school because of my drugs and alcohol, I wasn't going to have the GPA to go to college or a good college, and I was always planning on dropping out.
But just as Jennifer turned her life around, those plans changed. She's now an above-average student. Unfortunately, there are many teens out there who haven't realized they need help.
There's a lot.
What would you say to them?
It's hard to be able to say something to somebody that, because a lot of kids our age don't listen, but I really want them to realize that if you keep doing it, it's going to get worse, and it's not going to get any better, and your life isn't going to change. I mean, you can't just smoke weed through your whole entire life or drink and still be successful like you want to be.
Jennifer is just finishing her 6 weeks of treatment here at Keystone, where she's one of about a dozen teens getting help.
When you talk with high school students about underage drinking, they often tell adults what they want to hear. So we spoke with 3 college freshmen who openly admit to drinking and partying while in high school.
Cool, you know.
Amanda Hunt's parents caught her stealing bottles from their liquor cabinet. Jess Mel's parents sent her to treatment after she came home drunk. And Kathy Haig's parents actually let her drink during her senior year, which she thinks made her safer.
I know if I wouldn't have been allowed to drink, I would have drank a lot more.
Oh, yeah.
And been really sneaky about it just because I could have.
All 3 women say their parents were the biggest deterrent, but that doesn't mean they didn't drink.
The law doesn't necessarily matter because their punishments aren't as harsh as our parents.
If they call you, even if they give you breathalyzers, it's really not going to stop you.
Yeah.
Even while in high school, getting the booze was not a problem.
I would have like younger people asking me to get it from someone else, you know, like it's just like everybody knows it's so available and everybody knows that people will do it for them. And even people that like are older that get alcohol for people are like, oh, I know what it was like to be a minor, so I'll get you stuff, you know, and blah, blah, blah.
The closest thing to a solution you'll get from these three is that parents need to recognize there is no solution.
If parents were willing to like maybe compromise and understand their kids are drinking instead of just being like, no, you're not allowed to drink at all, their kids would probably be smarter about it.
And that a compromise could prevent dangerous behavior while drinking.
I think if parents are more comfortable with it, there'll be less drinking and driving. Yeah. Because I know for a fact that I could call my parents to get a ride, and that was one of the things that like kept me safe.
You get in more trouble for being late for curfew than you would
And
for being safer and not drinking.
I can't tell you how many people at parties would stop drinking an hour before they had to go home because they needed to sober up to drive home.
Oh,
which is not okay.
Or they just start drinking water like mad.
These are ideas parents may not like to hear.
Find ways to make drinking safer instead of trying to prevent it.
But it is honesty coming from three underage drinkers. The three women said the kids in their high school who were least likely to drink were those who hung out with kids their own age. Those who hung out with older kids found that alcohol was easier to get.
Preventing teenagers from getting alcohol becomes a tall order when you consider the source. We sat down with some high school students for a candid conversations on where teenagers go when they want alcohol.
Most teens bound for a binge don't have to go to all the effort of creating a fake ID and hope they can fool a store clerk. Instead, they can merely dial up a drink.
It's pretty much just a phone call away.
It's all about who you know when it comes to accessing alcohol.
I've had people tell me, if you want alcohol, you can give me a call sometime, you know, or at places I've worked and stuff, so.
Just anybody you know who's over 21, your cousin, maybe a sibling. Some people just take it from their house without their parents knowing.
And many kids don't even have to sneak a beer out of the fridge.
I've even heard parents even drink with the kids sometimes.
Parents now are finally realizing that in order to keep their teenagers safe, they're going to provide the alcohol in their house as long as there's rules, boundaries, saying that nobody can drink and drive.
But that approach, no matter how well-intentioned by parents, sends the wrong message.
It's promoting that it's okay to drink as long as you don't drive. We're saying no, it's not okay to drink, it's against the law to drink.
If teens can't get alcohol at home or at work, they can find it at school.
I could actually probably get alcohol over lunch if I wanted to. There are people that have it in their cars right now in the parking lot.
There is no shortage of options for teens in their pursuit of alcohol.
It's definitely available.
A Sioux Falls mother is angry a convenience store clerk sold beer to her underage son before he crashed his car. Coming up, we'll hear why he could go to prison for the accident that sent her other son to the hospital.
All righty. You passed.
Yeah, he's thinking Arby's.
Seriously?
And the new roast beef gyro for only $2.99. Seasoned roast beef and a warm pita with delicious gyro sauce for just $2.99. And try our one-of-a-kind Jamocha shake. So amazing it'll have you saying, I'm thinking Arby's.
On your wedding day, it's all about the bride. Her dress, her flowers, her hair. But when everyone is looking at her, she'll be looking at you. So rent your tuxedo at Men's Warehouse, and you'll look almost as good as she does. You're gonna like the way you look. I guarantee it.
This gravel road seems pretty peaceful now, but less than 2 months ago, it was the scene of a drunk driving accident that changed the lives of two brothers in an instant. The one driving was speeding and lost control of his pickup on this bridge. The moments that followed shattered lives and left a mother motivated to try to prevent another such catastrophe. It's the call every parent hopes they never have to take.
Lisa, your boys have been in an accident. I've got Richard in the car. I said, what about Farron? He said he's being airlifted to McKenna with 3 life-threatening injuries.
Lisa Shoneman had no idea her 2 sons had been out drinking that afternoon. In fact, she thought 17-year-old Farron Demarius was at work. 20-year-old Richard Tuvey had been driving. He was the first person Shoneman saw when she got to the hospital.
He just was so distraught. He goes, Mom, where's my brother? Where's my brother?
But she wasn't prepared for when she saw his brother, Farron.
I mean, I just seen somebody I didn't even recognize. I mean, he couldn't talk. I was saying, come on, buddy, wake up. I said, it's Mom. He couldn't respond to me, and I knew he was in big trouble.
Farron had a severe head injury and was rushed to emergency surgery to relieve the pressure on his brain.
I said, is he going to be okay? Is he ever going to be able to walk, talk again? They said, we won't know. He said, I cannot give you a definite answer.
The hardest thing for Shoneman is that poor choice that ended on this dirt road that March evening has left her struggling over the plight of both of her sons.
I'm fighting to save 2 lives now instead of 1.
Shoneman says Richard has fallen into a severe depression. She's been keeping a journal of each day since the accident.
April 19th, Farron's big brother got out of jail. I was at the hospital to see Farron. It was very hard for him. He cries a lot. He's very sorry for what he has done to you.
Richard is facing drunk driving and vehicular battery charges, which carries a maximum 10 years in prison. And this wasn't his first underage alcohol violation. But Shoneman says the emotional price her son is paying will never end.
It was a mistake, you know, it wasn't intentional, and it's something that we're going to have to live with for the rest of our lives.
Shoneman also blames this convenience store, which she claims sold her son's beer that March afternoon without asking for an ID.
They were able to get the receipt that Richard bought an 18-pack there. They have the evidence. They need to make an arrest. And it just hasn't been done.
South Dakota law also protects the store from being sued by Shoneman for damages from the accident. Farron has been transferred to a Nebraska rehabilitation hospital, which costs $56,000 a month. Shoneman isn't working in order to stay by his side, and she says Medicaid stops paying her son's medical bills in September when he turns 18.
When Farron is able to come home, you know, are they going to take our house? Are we going to have a house to go home to?
In the midst of her crisis, Shoneman has become an activist to try to toughen up South Dakota's laws against clerks and convenience stores who sell booze to minors.
As far as I'm concerned, they want to hold Richard accountable. They need to do the same for the clerk and the establishment that sold him the alcohol.
Shoneman is also sickened by the number of underage accidents involving alcohol since her son's crash just 2 months ago.
Now it's my goal not only to protect my 2 sons, but to protect all the other teenagers in the community. I don't want to see no other teenagers being in accidents where alcohol's involved.
But Shoneman's main goal right now is seeing her sons through this very difficult time.
They've got to teach them to re-swallow, re-talk, re-walk. Short-term memory, long-term memory. Read, write.
She journals every challenge.
I see Farron struggle with the simple things, and I wished I could take his place. I would do it in a heartbeat. First time in my life as a parent, I feel like I have no control over the situation. Because as a mom, you think you can fix everything, and this time I can't. So it's really hard.
Shoneman hopes by sharing her story, she can save another family heartache.
You always hear about it or read about it or see things on the news, but until it hits your family, there's no words to describe what you got to go through.
The boys had to identify the clerk who sold them the alcohol in a lineup. The case is now in the hands of the state's attorney's office. A fund has been set up for Farron Demarius' medical bills. You can contribute at any Wells Fargo bank.
Convenience stores and bars are seen by some as the front lines in the struggle against underage drinking. Law enforcement conducts sting operations to check for sales to underage minors because they say stopping teens from being able to buy alcohol is the first step in keeping them sober. Tonight, we take you behind the counter at one convenience store that's doing everything it can to put up a fight. Inside this pump and stuff convenience store, there's a war going on. Not a war with weapons and warriors, but one between alcohol and adolescents. Manager Melissa Clark says she's seen just about everything when it comes to minors trying to buy alcohol, and she's waging an all-out battle to make sure her store isn't part of the problem.
If you look at, obviously, what's going on in the news now with all the kids and everything that are being killed with alcohol, I mean, it's very, very vital to card.
Clark says she recognizes the need to check ID with every alcohol sale.
That's the first thing. I mean, you ask for their ID.
No matter how busy she gets or how many people are waiting to pay, Clark takes the time to card her customers.
All the time. It doesn't matter if you have a line or not. You know, if you have a kid that is going to buy alcohol that's underage, we can't have that.
But not every store follows the law so closely. Authorities have been randomly conducting alcohol stings to check for compliance over the past several weeks. One night, Lincoln County officials uncovered a 40% failure rate when 6 of the 15 stores they hit sold alcohol to someone under 21. The pump and stuff recently passed a surprise inspection, but it was no surprise for Clark. She knows her store is in this war for the long haul, and every illegal sale she stops is one more step toward victory.
There's not really a way, I don't think you're going to be able to stop it completely, but to control it, I think that would be something, you know, carding will control some of it, obviously, because you're not going to be able to sell it to minors.
And retailers may be getting the message. In a recent sting operation, the Minnehaha County Sheriff's Office checked 11 bars and convenience stores for compliance, and all 11 checked IDs and stopped the sale when they realized the buyer was underage.
In 1984, President Reagan, under pressure from groups like Mothers Against Drunk Driving, pushed through legislation that would deny federal highway money to states that refused to raise the minimum drinking age to 21. Well, South Dakota called that legal blackmail and was the only state to fight it all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court.
South Dakota could hardly afford to lose 5% of federal highway dollars, but state leaders were convinced that the 21st Amendment clearly gave us the right to decide our own legal drinking age, which was 19 for Low Point beer at the time. Roger Tellinghusen was South Dakota Attorney General, and along with former Attorney General Mark Meyer Henry, argued the case before the U.S. Supreme Court when it was finally heard in 1987. 2 months later, though, on a 9-2 vote, the High Court rejected the appeal.
Now a lawyer in Spearfish, Tellinghusen still believes the law is ridiculous. He says it would be a whole lot safer for 18 to 20-year-olds to legally drink in a bar, rather than head out in the country where they're going to drink anyway, but wind up driving home in the dark over county or gravel roads.
If I have any retrospective viewpoint, my view would be that instead of forcing the states to raise their drinking ages to 21, they should have forced all of the states to reduce their drinking ages to 18, making them consistent in that way.
Tellinghusen doubts that that will ever happen, but still thinks it's hypocritical for an 18, 19, or 20-year-old just back from Iraq, for example, to run the risk of arrest if caught drinking alcohol.
And I think in some respects, you know, we're in the long run going to hurt young people's viewpoints and relationships with law enforcement, because now instead of seeing them as someone they can trust and who can help them, they're seeing them as the enemy. And I think that's unfortunate.
Whether or not the law is fair, MAD says since it was enacted 22 years ago, the number of fatal accidents involving alcohol in teens has gone down by 33%.
It began as a seatbelt committee on student council, but now it's become something much more than encouraging people to buckle up.
Students Against Destructive Decisions, also known as SAD, has had overwhelming success not only with teens, but within Vermilion. Its secret to that success?
Kids' energy. The group just has energy. It looks for creative ways to do things.
SAD advisor Della Schnack says the group focuses on the positive. They encourage good decisions. They don't punish for bad judgment.
SAD's job to tell you how to live your life.
The chapter works hard to get their message out. An Arrive Alive campaign at prom showed kids at Vermillion High School are proving statistics wrong. Over 80% of the kids made the choice to take a breathalyzer at prom and after prom.
You think everybody's drinking on prom night, you're wrong. We can prove that the social norm is you don't drink on prom night. That's just the way things are.
When you're in high school, each kid is going to make their own choices, whether or not they want to drink.
Chapter rewards students with things like candy and keychains. It's their way of saying you can make good decisions.
The SAD chapter is funded by court-ordered donations. Well, teens aren't supposed to drink, but some say liquor companies are targeting young taste buds. We'll look at the lure of Alka-Pops next on this KELOLAND News Special Report.
Anyone else?
My name is David, and in 8 years, I'll be an alcoholic.
I did.
I'll start drinking in middle school, just at parties. But my parents won't start talking to me about it till high school. And by then, I'll already be in some trouble.
Kids who drink before age 15 are 5 times more likely to have alcohol problems when they're adults.
The thing is, my parents won't even see it coming.
So start talking.
Who's next?
Before they start drinking.
Did Jesus marry and father a child? That's what this movie claims. KELOLAND clergy react to Da Vinci in Dakota. Tonight's Eye on KELOLAND at 10.
If you're looking for adventure, take the Trail of Legends to North Dakota. Whether you're a born explorer or just a true fun seeker, you'll find it here. For great ideas on things to do and places to stay on your North Dakota vacation, call 1-800-HELLO-ND. North Dakota, legendary.
Taco John's presents Whiplash in Yippee-Yi Chicken. He was a monkey on a mission, a quest to find the best tasting chicken sandwich in all the land. And along the way, he found it. A new flavor with the bold kick of crispy seasoned chicken, a tasty bacon ranch dressing, and served on a soft flatbread. It was the Bacon Ranch Chicken Sandwich. And all the time, it was right next door. One of 3 new West Mex chicken sandwiches from Taco John's.
In KELOLAND, weather can change in an instant. That's why when the weather's at its worst, we're at our best. We watch it by the hour, track it by the minute. When storms threaten, look to us because we're looking out for you. KELOLAND TV, your home for weather.
Welcome back to Underage Under the Influence. I'm KELOLAND's Jody Schwan. Chances are wherever you find beer for sale, you'll likely find the alcoholic beverages that have become the drinks of choice for many teenagers. We're talking about Alka-Pops, which some call a mixed drink in a bottle.
They're sweet-tasting, fruit-flavored malt beverages that are filtered to disguise the taste of alcohol. Those who don't call them Alka-Pops may know them as simply girly drinks, an appropriate name considering their appeal to young females.
Middle school is typically, you know, that 11, 12-year-old age is when we have kids start drinking, or trying it out at least.
Alka-Pops have been called cocktails with training wheels. While the liquor industry claims their colorful, fun packaging isn't meant to entice teens, studies have shown that's who the marketing reaches. In some surveys, more underage drinkers than adults have reported actually trying Alka-Pops. They've also become gateway beverages by creating young consumers for brand name liquors.
Because if I know Bacardi Raz, or if I go Bacardi Twister, or some of those Smirnoff Ice, then I know, you know, I can go to that label for the Bacardis or the rums or whatever it may be that they're after.
The challenge for counselors is keeping up with the industry. They're trying to teach teenagers that these drinks are deceptive. A 12-ounce Alka-Pop still has the same amount of alcohol as a 12-ounce mug of beer.
Does it taste this different? It still does the same thing. It can still affect your body. These are the damaging effects of, you know, your body.
Some states are now taking a closer look at these beverages. California is studying Alka-Pops to decide whether they should no longer be classified with beer. That would make them subject to higher taxes and limit where they could be sold.
No matter what they're drinking, abusing alcohol can set a dangerous pattern for later life. Research shows there can be serious health effects for kids who drink.
Where kids are concerned, all drinks are not created equal. In fact, the same amount of alcohol, even the exact same type of drink, can have a very different effect in a teenager's body.
In terms of taking risks, one thing that we know about teenage brains is that the frontal lobes, which is the front part of the brain, are relatively less well developed than other parts of the brain.
Differences between the adult brain and the brain of a maturing adolescent also mean young drinkers are able to consume much larger amounts of alcohol before feeling its negative effects.
Almost everyone who drinks is impaired when you test them before they themselves appreciate that they're impaired. And that's why a lot of people get into trouble with driving and other activities, because they don't realize it. That happens a lot more with teenagers than with adults.
Whatever it is that leads kids to begin drinking, once they start, they face a number of potential long-term health risks related to brain development.
Suppose that you have, 3 cells at the beginning when you start to look, and then you take one away by poisoning it with alcohol. Well, at any time down the line that you look, there's going to be fewer cells because you took away one of the founder cells.
In fact, research shows that alcohol's impact on a teenage brain can literally make the difference between an A or a B in school, or even between passing and failing.
The other way that our brains become more complex and develop is by neurons making new connections, and that appears to be affected by alcohol as well.
Kids who drink also risk permanent liver damage, and abusing alcohol during the critical stage of growth and development known as puberty may upset the hormone balance needed for the proper growth of vital organs, muscles, and bones.
Counselors from Prairie View are placed in every middle school and high school in Sioux Falls, as well as several other schools statewide. They say the best place to reach students is in the classroom. Counselors are on hand all day long, so a little advice is never far away. But many times when a child is getting help from Prairie View, they've been forced to, either by a court order or their parents' orders. And the excuses are countless.
And they'd say, well, I don't have a car after school, or my mom goes to work, or we don't have the money for this. I thought, put it at the schools.
The plan includes 4 levels. The first is for those with limited exposure to drugs or alcohol, maybe a student who tried something once. The second is for someone who violated activity training rules or was ticketed by police. The third digs deeper into behaviors that trigger drug or alcohol use. And the fourth is for those diagnosed with a clinical addiction. All involve private counseling as well as family sessions. Jensen says many times they can be the greatest preventative.
Parents sometimes are an untapped resource. I mean, they have so much power and influence they don't realize they have.
Which is why it's important to have them involved every step of the way. And because parents are such a big part of a child's recovery, Jensen says it's easier on them to be able to come to a school instead of a treatment center.
Alcohol counselors agree alcohol itself is not a bad thing if you're over 21.
Alcohol's neither good nor bad. It's what you do with it that can have some harmful consequences.
And drinking large amounts of alcohol in a short period of time, known as binge drinking, can have harmful effects. The body can process about 1 standard drink every hour. And it's when teens and even adults start drinking more than that binge drinking starts to take its toll.
Your body can't keep up with the amount of alcohol you're putting into it. And then that's where we see the effects of alcohol, mostly on the brain.
And when a person starts to drink 4, or even up to 5 drinks in one sitting, which is technically the definition for binge drinking, it starts to shut down your central nervous system, which slows your heart and your breathing.
And especially if they're binge drinking, a person will make very bad decisions and irrational behavior, and some people, I think, are just in disbelief that good old alcohol could really do something as detrimental to a person as kill them.
And a lot of students don't know that you can die simply from drinking. You don't have to be behind the wheel or anything like that. You can die just from consuming too much alcohol.
And if binge drinking doesn't have fatal effects on teens, heavily drinking at a young age can have long-term mental effects.
And if you are under the age of 15, that likelihood of addiction is even higher if you're binge drinking as a very young person.
A high price to pay for someone who's just getting started in life.
But no matter what the cost, when we hit the town on a Friday night, we found out many teens are dedicated to drinking, even at events that are supposed to be alcohol-free. When the alternative rock band OAR took the stage at Augustana College, teens and adults packed the stands to hear them play. The college-sponsored event was designated alcohol-free, but high school students who came to the college concert told us a different story.
Oh yeah, I could definitely find something if I really wanted to.
Some people come to this drunk and some people come just normal, just to enjoy the music.
We even found evidence to support what these teens were saying outside in the parking lot, just steps from where the concert took place. The students we talked to, who were under 21, agreed underage drinking is a problem. Even though people weren't drinking during the concert, they say that doesn't mean it didn't take place before.
It just kind of adds to the atmosphere, I guess. It's just the whole concert thing.
A lot of my friends do it, and so you kind of either try to avoid it, and if you're around it, just say no, peer pressure.
Once the show was over, most people went straight for their cars. Some were going home. But it was a Friday night, so others were headed elsewhere to party.
Yeah, there's a lot of partying going on, I guess you could say, like every night pretty much in high school, I guess, or whatever.
It's hard to prove whether the evidence of drinking we found was tied to someone underage, but it does suggest that many teens think drinking is a necessary part of having a good time.
There's a lot of it going on at school and everything, but I don't know, try to avoid it and everything.
It's really sad. And I think that we need more things like this to bring people to have more options so they have more things to do.
Other than drinking.
Right.
Coming up next, when a Kettleland mother's son was killed by a drunk driver nearly a decade ago, she dedicated her life to educating teens. What she thinks about this spring's string of accidents. Next.
My name's Lisa, and in 9 years I'll be an alcoholic.
Hi, Lisa.
I'll start drinking in 8th grade, and I'll do some things I don't really want to do. So by the time my parents talk to me about it, alcohol won't be my only problem.
Kids who drink before age 15 are 5 times more likely to have alcohol problems when they're adults. So start talking before they start drinking.
My parents won't believe it could happen to me.
Alrighty. You passed.
Yeah, he's thinking Arby's.
Seriously?
And the new roast beef gyro for only $2.99. Seasoned roast beef and a warm pita with delicious gyro sauce for just $2.99. And try our one-of-a-kind Jamocha shake. So amazing it'll have you saying, I'm thinking Arby's.
Comfort King makes mattresses that are guaranteed comfortable for life. That's right. When you buy a Comfort King, you not only get more mattress for less, you also get their lifetime comfort guarantee. 1 year, 5 years, even 10 years. It doesn't matter. If you want a different feel, they'll adjust your mattress as long as you own it, guaranteed. Comfort King, located next to the Royal Fort, just south of the Empire Mall, Sioux Falls.
Artists need tools to create. Find everything you need to create beauty and artistry for your outdoor living space at Landscape Garden Centers. Annuals bursting with color. Vibrant perennials. Decorative shrubs. Visit the specialists in outdoor decor and shop year-round in their new state-of-the-art climate-controlled greenhouse.
Landscape Garden Center.
Drinking, drugs, and sex. 3 tough subjects to talk about, especially with your teenage kids. Today we're talking about drinking, more importantly, underage drinking. And I'm joined by 4 parents with Sioux Falls teenagers here in the Sioux Falls School District to talk about just that. First of all, thank you all for joining us to talk about this subject, which has kind of come to the forefront this year with all the tragic accidents we've had in the past couple of months. Let's just start with that.